Welcome to the latest episode of State of Play. This week we're going to be talking about the current NBA duos and also the NFC North division for the upcoming season. We're joined by Swanee, Matty and Ethan, myself Ben.
Today's topic, NBA duos. Let's run down the lists. We've all brought our top five. Swanee, kick us off at number 5, please.
Yeah, I'll give you my number 5. I'm going to go over to Dallas for my number 5 pick, and I'm going to take Luka Doncic and Porzingis.
Nice.
As my first duo. It's number 5.
It's a huge pick.
Yeah, as I say, I haven't really got many stats to back these up, but I've just gone off the lads that I love to watch, and these two, from pretty much any range, are pretty nice. I see Luka Doncic as almost the Kevin De Bruyne of the NBA. He just does, he's lethal from 3 points. He's good from mid-range, but he's not too flashy or anything.
Does he take penalties?
He can take pens. so he's nowhere near like De Bruyne then, apparently.
It's a good pick. Ethan, number 5.
I've gone for James Harden and Russell Westbrook on that one. Beautiful duo. Throwback for the old OKC.
Mm-hmm.
Both sides of the ball, they can both defend and attack. Both very ball greedy though, which is obviously a problem for them. But they've used it well when they've had that this season so far. But yeah, that's my number 5.
Do you think they could be? And I'm sure it's possible that any of us could have them higher up the list. But do you think they would be higher up on the list if one was a bit less greedy than the other?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I love Westbrook's work rate. I think his work rate is just mad. Like even in sort of games that don't even matter or anything, he's electric. I'll go into further detail about him later because I have actually got him further up.
Interesting,
but yeah,
very interesting.
Do you think part of being a successful duo is knowing who's number 1 and who's number 2? Because looking at the top of my list,
definitely.
I think number 1 and number 2 is pretty clear in terms of duos. Ben, what have you got for us in number 5?
Interesting start here. I actually have neither of those two in my top 5. I think Doncic and KP are a very notable pairing, and I do think over the next couple of years you're going to see them flourish as long as you have the support from the rest of the team, the GM bringing in another couple of shooters maybe. But for me, number 5, I have Steph and Clay. Now, I'm not sure if they would have hit your boys' top 5, but for me, Steph holding the record at, 402 3-pointers in a year anyway, in a calendar season.
Mm-hmm.
I just think you can't write off essentially the number 1 and number 2 shooters of all time. I think they're lacking a bit of substance in the rest of the team, a bit of star power now they've dropped KD, and maybe not having such a dominant centre with, Boogie pre-injury. I just think on a day, if they're hot, then no one's beating them because scoring high percentage looks from 3-point it's a way to win the new layout of basketball.
Yeah, in terms of just pure shooting ability, there's not much better. Again, I'll speak about them later because I've actually got them higher up.
I've got them higher up as well.
Intriguing, very intriguing.
If anyone left them off. The reason I left them off was purely for we've not seen enough of them this season.
Yeah, it's one of my points.
Their turnover rate, though, for their points when they're on the pitch, on the court together, is still the best in the league in comparison to other duos. So them together, for me, are just up there.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued to see where you boys have placed them. Matty, what have you got for number 5?
So this is where I struggled. 1, 2, and 3 I kind of had locked in my head.
Yeah.
4 and 5 had a lot of options, I thought. Number 5, I am coming in with the good old Boston Celtics, and I'd like to take Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker, please. Purely.
I thought you were going to have them higher.
Purely based. I mean, I wanted them higher, but in honesty, purely based on last year, 2 seasons ago, Kyrie was injured for the playoffs and we did quite well.
Yeah.
And then the year after, Kyrie's back, we're going all the way. Turns out Kyrie's shit. I went to watch 2 live basketball games, and in them both, Kyrie was shit. So I was like, you know what? And I feel like while there was expectations for this season, I don't think there was, we're talking all-star expectations, especially for Tatum, but for both of them to be playing at such a good level, and that's why I've thrown them in at number 5.
Yeah, I get that. I think they weren't in my top. Then don't actually make my top 5. I did want to put them in, but Kemba's not played enough this year for me. But Tatum's just been wow.
I've always loved watching Kemba. He's one of my first go-to point guards, just because he's the same height as me, and I always thought that was pretty cool.
Are you comparing?
Someone made it at my height. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. See, for me,
go on.
After you, mate. After you.
I've just loved watching him play, and I do like that you've had him up there, but he's not in my top 5, unfortunately.
I do like that we have different number 5s. Because I feel like
I'm
towards
intrigued.
the top of the list, it's going to be similar-ish. But let's swiftly move into number 4. If anyone would like to offer me their number 4.
Go on, I went first last time. Someone else did it.
Well, then I'll bring us into number 4. So
yeah, go on.
For me, I think you guys might have this pairing at number 1 or number 2. But for me, how dominant, as we were talking about earlier, the clear kind of 1 and 2 role, how leaps and bounds Giannis is ahead of Chris Middleton. For me, I've had to put him in at number 4 because Giannis, obviously, right now, probably a top 3 player in the league during the regular season. I think he has potential to be number 1 or 2 when he gets a little bit more postseason experience. But for me, Chris Middleton, compared to the shooters I've got on the list in 3, 2, and 1, and the caliber of player I've got on the list for my top 3, I've had to put them in at 4.
Okay.
Fair enough. I like that.
Okay. I'll give you a little spoiler. They don't have no Bucks players in my top 5.
Oh, I tell you what, these lists are
because I don't think there's a duo.
Yeah.
Bucks.
Okay. I like that. I've gone with that as well. I've stuck with that one.
Yeah. Because he is so good.
Yeah.
It'd almost be offensive to him to say that there's someone else in there.
I do enjoy Middleton. I do think he is an excellent player.
Same.
I think it's just because we are highlighted by Giannis's play throughout the season. I think he's just unstoppable most of the time for the Bucks. And when he is stopped, I think the team sort of goes quiet for a while.
Yeah, I think that's the definition of duo, isn't it? Is when maybe one of the guys is slightly off.
The other one can bring him up.
Has the other one got the ability to go and win the game?
Yeah.
I know he's done it a couple of times this year. I think he had a 50-point game, didn't he, this season, Middleton? And as I say, obviously he's a quality player. But in terms of the duos in the top 5, he don't make mine for those reasons.
Go on then, Swanee. What have you got at number 4?
I appreciate that.
My number 4, I think you guys will probably think these are a bit low down, but I went with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
I'll get on to them a bit later.
It's difficult to sort of give my reasoning for why these are 4 without giving my reasoning why the other lives are in front of them.
Yeah.
So I'll just. It's slightly similar in that Kawhi Leonard is clearly probably the best postseason. Other than LeBron. So I think he has to make it in there. And Paul George has been class this year. He's been unreal. But yeah, as I say, I'd rather hype up my top 3 rather than talk about these.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I like those picks. Do you want me to go?
Go for it, Ethan. What have you got for us?
All right. I've gone for Doncic and Zingas in this one at number 4. I just think those two as a duo. You got defense on both, and then you got offense on both players. It's what your team needs, and Doncic can carry a team when he needs to. I mean, he can regularly drop 20, 30 points if he really wants to. He's good in the ISO. He can shoot threes, and he can cut inside as well. And then you've got Zingers to clean up anything else.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
A lot of love for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
They're just classy, aren't they?
It was
to be expected as well.
It's nice basketball.
Yeah.
It was tough for me to leave them off the list, but I wanted to change it up down the bottom. And now that I'm looking at it, I kind of want to swap 4 and 5 around. But I've wrote it down. I'm gonna stick to it. No one else has said it, and you're probably gonna give me some puzzled faces when you do say it. But in number 4, I am taking Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo from the Miami Heat.
I get it. I do get it. I like that, actually.
Interesting.
I didn't
very
think
interesting.
about them at all, to be honest.
No.
I don't need to explain it now, so let's move on.
Yeah. See, I would have put them at 5.
Yeah, I think now that I've said it out loud,
I would have put them at 5 over your last suggestion. But that's interesting, though, because you've got, most improved player and also one of the just toughest, meanest players about as well.
Yeah. I think that's a good shout, actually.
I was reading about Jimmy turning down the 76ers last year, and I just think if you're turning down, you're looking at the 76ers and they were possibly title contenders, you turn them down to go to sort of make an organisation your own in a way, and now you're above them in the rankings as well, in the standings so far. I just think, and I don't think he's done it just by himself. I do think Bam is a vital component of that little duo. I just think I wasn't sold on anyone else enough to be like they have to go in the top 5. So it was kind of a toss up.
That's fair enough. I like that.
Yeah, you can easily put them in on. You can easily put them in on grit and merit alone. Like their want to go out and win games is that much higher than most teams.
I do like that, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't even have them in my top 10, but I do like that call. It's a nice little throw in there.
Yeah.
In position 3, this is where I have the LA Clippers duo of Kawhi and Paul George.
Me too.
Ethan as well.
Yep, I've got that.
Swanee, Ben, do you want to offer something different?
Go on, Ben, you can go, mate.
For this one, I went towards, obviously, the Nets.
Yeah.
With, obviously, KD and Kyrie. Tough. I mean, again, you're talking about Kawhi and PG. I'm looking at KD and Kyrie. Both have MVP finals players in KD and Kawhi.
Yeah.
I just think Kyrie's consistency as matched when KD returns will be something else. Their ability to run a pick and roll will probably be one of the best seen in the NBA over the past kind of 5 years, I would say. Up there with Steph running his...
Yeah, I think that it will be a lethal duo. I've got them in as more of a mystery pick for me. Like if we expanded upon our lists, obviously without KD at the minute to show anything from him coming back from injury, we don't know how he's going to act. But he is KD, and he is up there with the top 3, top 4 people in the world of playing basketball currently, and he is just on every side of the ball. He is unstoppable. So if he can come back anything like he was, I think that'll be one of the best duos in the league by far.
Ben, just a question for you, and a question for everyone, but specifically Ben, based on that pick. There was a story ran earlier in the season that the Nets didn't want Kyrie. They wanted KD, but Kyrie was part of the package. What do you think about that?
Very, very interesting. I mean, you're looking at... So, Kyrie's gone into the finals with the Cavs and also, late into the playoffs with the Celtics. And, I mean, if you put the two on a par, if you put them on a level playing field, then KD obviously is the pick you want to build a team around because similar to the Kevin Porzingis type, they're unicorns. You know, they're 7-foot players that have the guard abilities. And I think clearly they were probably going to be looking at him for number one. They were ready to sign him at max as soon as he, stepped foot in New York.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brooklyn. But it's just, you've got to be taking KD. Sorry, it makes a lot. It makes a lot of sense.
I just think with for the reason they're not on my list is obviously one, we've not seen them together. Can't really say much. You expect them to be good, and I do expect them to be good. Number two, that story is kind of another reason that I'd leave them off the list, just because, along with all the other stories we've heard this year of Kyrie being like throwing tantrums and having temper problems, and I don't know if anyone can gather this, but point number three is I do think Kyrie's a prick, so I'd never put him in my top five.
I completely agree. I've not got him in my top five. Go on, sorry, Ben.
No, after you.
So my number three is Golden State boys. I've gone for Curry and Thompson here. As I said before, potentially the best shooting pairing in the league. They showed it multiple times. They've been unlucky this season that they've both been injured. I can't wait to see these two back. I think realistically, if they play a full season, when they have played full seasons, I know they've not got KD now, but these two were the ones that I like to watch the most in that period. And I can't wait to see these back next year. Well, at the end of next year.
Great choice. A great choice. Ethan, can I have your number two, please?
Number two, I have LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Same.
As so obviously going to be raising some eyebrows of why they're not at the top. Yeah. But for me, LeBron and Davis obviously look insane with each other, but it's obviously fresh for them. It's their first season together as a team and as a duo. They do look lethal, but I think my number one pick just edges them for experience and being together, which we'll get onto after.
Cool. Swanee, you said you had him in number two as well?
Yeah, I've got exactly the same. Pretty much similar to what Ethan said. But as I said, I don't really want to say much about these two because it'll probably give away my number one. So,
Ben, number two?
Well, I've left the Battle of LA for my number one and two. There may be some Laker bias in me that's saying this, but I have Kawhi and PG at number two. It's incredible what Kawhi did with Toronto. Don't get me wrong, Van Vliet played the series of his life. I don't think he'll play that well again. And the rest of the squad really pulled their weight. But Kawhi is just a different animal when he comes to postseason. And I've had to put him in at two. A similar point to what we're all going to say is why we've got one and two in that order. But I'll quickly brush one over. I mean, LeBron currently, I believe, highest postseason scorer ever. Had to put that for me, that reason puts him over Kawhi. I know it's a longevity thing. Kawhi's probably going to play for a couple of years longer than LeBron, but I just had to put him at number two. With Paul George, that's what he said. He's had a good season. He is that player that on his night he'll be the best player on the floor. It doesn't matter what team you play. So I think if you put Kawhi being the claw, the best defensive player in the league, on top of a player that has the ability to be the number one on any court, you've got a lot of potential there. It just, everything has to click, which is why I couldn't put them in at number one.
Fair enough. It's probably a question to myself as well, because I have got Kawhi below LeBron. But do you think, due to Paul George and Kawhi's defense, that they would be a better duo than LeBron and Davis? They are, stats speaking and postseason speaking, they are the best defensive duo in the league.
See, now that is just a great stat.
Yeah.
That is a great stat.
That's big, that. I'm guessing you've gone with... Yeah, I'm guessing you've gone with them, boys.
I struggled with it. For me, it's obviously the heart of Davis and LeBron together. For me, that's what I want to see. That's why I put them above Kawhi and Paul George. But obviously, my question was just like, they are the best defensive duo in the league, and they can score on offense. So it's like I struggled with it really hard, and so them two for me are a toss up. But my number one is my number one.
Well, that toss up for me comes back to that age-old kind of saying in basketball that immaculate offense beats immaculate defense. Because at the end of the day, if you've perfected a turnaround jumper and you've perfected guarding the turnaround jumper, more often than not, the turnaround jumper goes in. So, just to kind of back up your point, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. I just thought I'd throw it in at myself as well, to be fair, because I've been questioning myself about it the whole time.
Yeah, it's been tough, isn't it?
Matt, have you said yours yet?
Just on the number 2, this is where I had Giannis and Middleton. Just for Giannis is a freak, and this kind of pushes into why I've got my number 1 as number 1. This duo kind of works the same way, in that Giannis is the clear number 1 in this duo. There is a 1 and 2, and this is kind of what I want to see from a duo. I don't want to see a Russell Westbrook and a James Harden where we don't know who's number 1, so we're going to go out in the court and try and prove that. It's almost as if they're trying to prove that they're better than the other player on their team rather than the other court, whereas these two, Middleton knows he's number 2. He just goes up to him in the locker room and goes, Giannis, I'm here to support you. I'm here to get you and myself a championship ring. I'm not trying to prove that I'm better than you because you're obviously better than me. That's why I like this duo in at number 2. And for the number 1s, boys, what have we got?
Go on, Matt, you go first.
You want me to go first?
Go first on you.
I had to have LeBron and Anthony Davis. With the point around Giannis and Middleton, LeBron James has been dragging the Cavaliers to the NBA Finals so many times, and the team is not that good besides him. And I just think with that ability in the postseason to just do whatever he wants, and then he's got AD with him, it fits the point of there's a clear number 1 and number 2. I really think these are going all the way this year.
Ooh.
Yeah. Bold.
Whoa, shock.
Who you got, Swanee?
My two, a couple of you have had them. I have actually gone for Harden and Westbrook in this one.
Yeah.
That's because number 1 is that Westbrook's one of my favourite players, and number 2 is that my definition of duos being that if Harden isn't there, can Westbrook go and score 40 points and win it? If Westbrook isn't there, can Harden go and score 80 points and go and win it? Yes, both of them can. I think they have a huge rivalry, but I think that only makes them so much better. So much better. You can tell that they're that sort of character where they need pushing and stuff. So that's why
I think it is very good competition for Harden, knowing now that he is at risk of not having the ball for 30 seconds, or 24, I should say. People will be passing to Westbrook to create that difference as well. But obviously, when they do work together, as we've seen, sometimes it is absolutely lethal. Either of them can shoot a 3, although they shoot a lot from 3, both of them, and they do miss a lot, but a lot of the time it does go in. So it's a lethal duo.
Yeah, top draw duo, but for me, because I ranked all my duos in the NBA, and I had them. Well, I think I had them at number 8, just because if both, as we've said, incredible players can go out and get 40, 50, average 27, 26 a season. I think I saw a stat, and don't quote me on it, but I'm fairly sure that if you actually look at their plus minus when they're both on the court, it's a lot weaker than their plus minus when they're individually on the court.
I have also think I've seen that stat.
Yeah. If not, their plus minus is worse when they're both on the court, etc.
No, you're both wrong.
Yeah, fair point. But for me, that's why I appreciate why, and I appreciate your reasoning.
Yeah.
But for me, I couldn't put them up there.
Okay, fair enough.
Who do you have then, Ben?
Great question. As I hinted at in my 2 spot, with the Laker bias comment, I have LeBron and AD, an absolute monstrosity of a pairing who will take down any team in the world and win continual championships for the next 4 years, as long as they can re-sign and deal with contracts. But on a real note, Anthony Davis was one of the prospects of the league for the last 3 years at New Orleans. The man was unstoppable on his own. And then you put him with the best, obviously barring MJ, postseason player ever in LeBron. I just think with LeBron's experience, if he can nurture AD through and they can work out the wage cap stuff, that they have a potential to, do some real damage in the league as a duo. Now, for me, that's why they're my number one. But I'm just going to pitch this to you guys for when we finished our number one round. If LeBron, AD had managed to team up with Kawhi over the summer, would that have been the best big three of the last decade or two?
Yes.
Probably,
by far.
Yeah.
I don't think there's you could talk of a few players, but the best big three by far. I don't really think there's any question about that.
Agreed.
One of the best defensive players ever in Kawhi, Anthony Davis. We're coming pretty close too, and then you've got LeBron just being an absolute leader across the board. And if you can have him, Kawhi, and Davis on the team, all three pretty much can carry a team on their own. I mean, you could just have them resting every minute or so, and you just still be racking up 20, 30 points.
Yeah,
per person.
Yeah, they could see that. I mean, as you just said, per person, that's where it becomes interesting when you get into the top three.
Yeah,
of having who can you dictate who's going to be number one point scorer through who's going to be number third. Now, anyway, back to number ones. Ethan, can you give us your number one, please?
I've chosen the Splash Brothers for number one. Clay and Curry, arguably the best shooters, especially as a duo of all time. Curry alone can carry the Warriors most of the time. And then having a defensive player like Clay on the ball at shooting guard is amazing. He can rotate onto pretty much anyone in the league. Obviously, he will struggle against some of the bigger guys, but I feel like Clay is a solid duo with Steph. They've won multiple championships themselves. Even without KD on the pitch, they can still, when on the court, they've shown that they can still take it to any team in the league, just as them two alone. And I think the way they are and the way they look together, their chemistry together, their experience together, I think is shown over the years. They are probably the best duo, if not the best duo in the league.
I suppose they're the only duo that's actually proved it time and time again.
Exactly.
Yeah, can't really disagree when you talk about what they've done in comparison to the others that haven't really done it yet, but we're expecting them to.
Yeah.
Just to finish us off, just some good news come through to the old blower. NBA tagged in the 31st of July return.
In Disneyland.
Ooh.
In Disneyland. I'm excited.
In Disneyland.
In Disneyland.
I love that.
So what? They want to host the games? Do they have a stadium at Disneyland?
It's Disneyland, Ben. They have
Yeah.
Each week now, leading up to the beginning of the NFL season, we're going to look at a different division. We've decided which ones we thought. So we're going to start with what we call the most boring to the most exciting. The boring of the most boring, we think, is the NFC North. I'm not going to lie, I am very unexcited about this entire division. As we were just saying, off camera, we all kind of expect the same thing to happen. Except for you, Ben. So the three of us agree for the Vikings to finish top, but you have the Packers. So
I did throw the Packers in there. Much to my chagrin, because I do think the Vikings are a much more likeable team, and obviously with my slight affiliation, I'd actually love the Bears to win, but that's just simply not going to happen. No, I just thought everyone expects the Vikings to go and do it. Why not throw a curveball in there, place the Packers at number one, and then come home to reap what I sowed towards playoff time.
See, that's the mad thing, innit? You say it's a curveball, but I mean, they went 13-3 last season.
yeah.
I think not a huge amount's changed other than Rodgers spitting his dummy out and them losing a tackle. So realistically, it's a very valid point, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's necessarily a curveball. It could quite easily happen if Rodgers sorted himself out.
Is there another team in the NFL who, mainly in our eyes, but in quite a lot of people's eyes, will have dropped expectations so far from the NFC Championship last year to all of a sudden they're not the betting favourites to win the division, but all of a sudden they're not the sort of crowd's favourites to win the division?
Yeah, I don't think there is, to be fair. There's none that I can really think of.
I think the most likeable team out of the four is the Bears, just for their offense, because they've been fun to watch when it comes off. But Mitch Trubisky's been
their offense is terrible.
No, by their offense, their receivers. Their defense is the premier side of the ball for them. But no, clearly most likeable. They've had obviously their current dilemma of signing Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky. Who are you going to start?
Trubisky.
Trubisky?
Until something happens, you've got to stick with him, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got to have your faith in your first QB. I think Foles is going to be there just as backup and give some Trubisky some experience, maybe some knowledge, maybe to calm him down a bit, try and get that accuracy up because, my God, the amount of open receivers.
You just can't hit people.
You can blame it on whatever you want, nerves, whatever, but I think that many missed passes in a season is unforgivable. So it needs talking to, and I think Nick Foles' experience is out in the league, and just being a Super Bowl winner as well is going to be good knowledge to be passed on.
This the signing of Nick Foles. Let's say everything goes the way he wants it in probably in his own head. What game does he become the starting quarterback this season?
If what? What's the situation?
What game does Nick Foles become the starting quarterback? Because I'm not convinced Mitch makes it through the full season.
No, I expect. Well, he'll probably play the first game if Trubisky's that bad. If he throws five picks and has 4 fumbles, then he'll probably come in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. See, it's interesting for me. If I was Bears coach right now, I am putting them in scrims at each other and seeing mano a mano who wins. Now, there's obviously a level to be said for training is not a real match situation. But if you say to both players, listen, lads, the winner of this gets the starting spot for the rest of the season, you'd have them go, 90%, training speed, obviously, but like as hard as possible. And for me, Foles probably edges that. If you gave them the same own D line, obviously per play.
I think Foles just wouldn't crack under that kind of pressure. He came in for Wentz and showed what he can do under that kind of pressure in the finals. I think Foles does have it. It's just obviously if he can stay healthy as well. Trubisky has obviously got injuries with his shoulders. Whether Foles can stay healthy as well, the Bears could end up having no QB by the end of the season if both of them end up getting injured. So we got to watch out for that as well.
Is there any possibility of the Bears?
No.
Nope. Cool. Okay, moving on. not what I was going to ask, but is there any
securing a wildcard spot?
No, I'm going really left field with this one. Is there any possibility of them getting all 11 tight ends on the field at the same time?
Yes.
Who needs 11 tight ends? Like, what
are they doing with them?
I bet they've got a trade in mind that requires like 4. I just want to have enough in the back locker.
What team needs 11?
Yeah, I was going to say, what team needs some tight ends right now?
Give us your QB.
Yeah, we're a nice fair trade. No picks or anything. Just 4.
Just take them, please.
4 for 1 QB.
Just looking towards the bottom of that division, the Detroit Lions, not great last year. I can't really see much more for them this year. Is their plan for this year to attempt to finish with the worst record and pick up Trevor Lawrence next year?
I don't think so. I think they have a quarterback issue, and they'll want something. But they've got enough players maybe to sort of get a win or two. I think there's worse teams. Teams. But if Stafford gets injured again, they're so fucked because they just have no one.
Yeah,
I do think there's worse teams down there, but I feel like we also need to put them, or they can look at themselves and go, "Are we one of the teams in that conversation?" I don't think they're bottom of that barrel, but I think they're in that fight. And it's
I think it's the coach can finally get that defense working like he wanted to do when he did at the Patriots. He clearly has the right mindset and the experience to create a good defense. I think he just needs to communicate it better to the Lions, and maybe it will click. We don't know until the season starts. So it's early to call, but I don't know. They've got a serious O-line and D-line issue as well. So we don't know.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah,
they've got O-line issues. They've got D-line issues. They've got quarterback issues.
So we'll see.
We'll probably just take some tight ends of Chicago to plug them gaps. Looking towards the top 2, the Packers, the question obviously surrounds now Aaron Rodgers after throwing his tantrum. I think their season solely depends on him being there, / if he wants to perform whilst he's there, or if he just wants to carry on crying. Let's picture the scenario that Jordan Love has to step in straight away, starter. How do we see it going for them?
He just gives the ball to Aaron Jones.
I don't think there's much. I don't think there's much else they can. I don't think there's much that they're not going to do that way anyway.
I think they've got enough where they'll finish second, even if Jordan Love has to play the whole season. He's good enough, but probably not a wild card or.
I just
think against the playoffs. That's all.
Go on, Ethan.
I think with the way Rodgers went at it can go either of 2 ways. As obvious, he can either be a bitch about it and just absolutely throw the tantrum for the season and be like, you know what, I can't believe you've done this to me. I'm just gonna play football for fun. He's not gonna try as hard. But then you got to think, he's got a Super Bowl in him the way he's been playing all these years. I don't think he's going to throw that away that easy just because someone else has come in trying to take his spot. I think he's going to, as an elite QB like that, he's going to have to turn it around and be like, you know what, fuck this. I'm going right at this, all guns blazing. I'm going to win every single game I go into.
It could put a real dampener on his career if he ends up sort of throwing in the towel this year.
Yeah.
I think when you look at Aaron Rodgers and is he now? He took them to 13-3. They finished 13-3 last year. NFC Championship game. Yep, they were nowhere near winning it. Whatever.
Aaron Jones took him to that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think the problem is just give the man some weapons. He's so good. Just give him someone to throw to, and you know what? If it doesn't work out, then you want to swap. Let's take the younger guy, whatever. But if Rodgers and Aaron Jones drag them all the way there last year, what's tough about putting, a first round receiver out there and seeing what he can do?
Well, first game of the season is Vikings Packers now in that division, so we're going to see it all happen on the first day. I think whether we get a rough and ready Aaron Rodgers or we get one that's sulking a little bit versus the Vikings that we're predicting to win the division and maybe have a decent playoff run because of the trades and the draft picks that they made.
I know we've said it is a boring division, but at the end of the day, if this drama kicks off, it can turn into one of the most interesting. Like, what happens if the Bears and Foles just comes out with his big dick and just starts slapping people? Like, we don't know what's going to happen. Like, the Bears could pull it out, the Lions could click and throw a spanner in the works, and then the Packers just could fall to pieces, and then the Vikings just run away with the title anyway.
Yeah.
Swanee, as a Vikings fan, opening night, Monday Night Football, are you hoping that there's some sort of structure in place to stop Lambeau Field being full that night? Preferably no supporters, as a Viking fan.
Nah, it don't matter. It's too good. I'm backing Vikings to have a very good season, actually. I thought the way that they played in the playoffs last year, against Saints and stuff, I think Dalvin Cook is as good as any running back in the league at the minute.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is fine when he's making simple plays. When he tries to overcomplicate it, he has issues, which I think is sort of one of the reasons why Diggs was allowed to leave. Is that Diggs was a playmaker, but he was a big playmaker, and it made it difficult for Kirk Cousins. Whereas now you've got Justin Jefferson, who obviously set the record for LSU on receptions. He's a 10-yard get the first down man, as well as that pace over the top if it's needed on the slant. So I'm excited.
How, and this is for everyone. Forbes released today their top 10 sports people earnings for the last year, and Kirk Cousins was in the top 10. I'm pretty sure he was the highest paid NFL player in the past year.
Oh, shit.
How do we feel about that?
That's interesting.
Not who I expected to be there.
No, I didn't even think about that, to be quite honest. I did not know he was that high up.
Let me just see if I can pull up the list. But shocked. I tell you what, shocked was what was on my face.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it, though, because sort of we all know that when Mahomes signs a new contract, it's going to blow everything out of the water, innit?
Mm. Yeah.
So it's sort of
they're talking.
It depends on what year it is and stuff, and
they're talking at the minute, and I think they're just talking just crazy.
Billions. Give them $1 billion.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to reel off. Just across all sports, this is the top 20 for the last year. So it's Roger Federer, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Neymar, LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Tiger Woods. Kirk Cousins is the first footballer, followed by Carson Wentz. And then the next footballer in 15th is Jared Goff. And then there's no other footballers in the top 20.
Goff.
Well, that's the thing, innit? They're the three lads that signed contracts last year, innit?
Yeah.
So it works to scale, doesn't it? Once Mahomes comes around and signs his new contract, those three will probably be at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
But obviously, every time a quarterback signs a new contract, it goes to the top. Yeah.
At what point then, lads, do we see the law of diminishing returns? Oh, fair enough. Take effect. Where at what point do we stop just increasing contract value?
Never.
Will that stop when the sport stops growing, which is something that we know may never happen because it's one of the largest
when the
sports in
players
the world.
coming out of drafts are worse than the ones that you've already got.
Which is something that would not seem likely for a long time.
I just think it's on a cycle, isn't it? So, you come into the league, you play your time in the league, you get better, you're the best. And then by the time it comes to leaving the league, the person who's coming in, you're kind of at the same level, and then you just cycle again. So
yeah,
I think the issue with the NFL as well is most athletes don't last more than 3 years.
Yeah,
so it's the cycle of a brand new, like 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old every year for a team, pretty much. Like there's so many people coming out, and especially with like even undrafted players. Then they come through, it's just more and more money, so the cap space for the actual good first-team players is then going to have to increase just to make them stay happy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
but
interesting, isn't it?
I think the NFL's only just sort of breaking the UK as well now. I think the fact it's obviously has its 4 games in England now.
Yeah,
No, it's been since 2014.
That's 4 a year now.
Yeah, 4 games a year.
4-8. Sorry, okay, yeah.
They've cancelled them for next year, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
The ones in England.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, you've got 4 English lads talking about it now. So you know, I think it's starting to. I think that helps that Sky have taken over as well, and Sky have got this really good sort of Super Sunday. I know me and Matty
I like
watch it every Sunday and stuff. At really good peak times when there's no football on as well.
Yeah.
It's like with my team this year, MMU. We used every Sunday. The whole team used to go down to the bar, and then we'd get more and more people going like, "Oh crap, why are you here?" And it's like, "Well, the American football's on. It's Super Sunday," and they'd be like, "Oh, fairs, I'll come next week." And it's just like you get random people that have never even played sport, never heard of the sport, but they just want to watch it, see what it's about, and like it gets interesting. It's like our Super Bowl party this year. We saw more than 300 people in there, and it's like last year we only had about 120, and it's like that's a massive difference just for our team alone.